Welcome to episode 46 of the Fire Safety Matters podcast, where we bring you the latest news, views and opinion from across the UK's dedicated fire industry. My name's Brian Sims and I'm the editor of Fire Safety Matters magazine. We're delighted that this podcast is sponsored by the Fire Safety event, which runs at the NEC in Birmingham from the 28th to the 30th of April 2026. Fire Safety Matters is once again serving as the lead media partner for the exhibition. To register for the show, visit www.firesafetyevent.com. As always, I'm joined on the Fire Safety Matters podcast by my colleague Mark Sennett, the CEO at Western Business Media and also the founder of Fire Safety Matters magazine. Morning, Mark. How are things with you?
Yeah, all good, Brian. How are things with you?
I'm very well, thank you, Mark. Yes, really enjoyed chairing the conference programme at Fire Safety Matters Live in Manchester, of course. I'm now preparing for several webinars we're running across the next couple of months and working on the November edition of the magazine in tandem with the FSM annual guide. I'm also delighted the magazine's been shortlisted in 3 categories for the PPA's Independent Publisher Awards. That's fantastic news for everyone in the team.
Yeah, no, I was absolutely delighted that we're up for 3 awards. I think we've got 10 on whole as a business in there, so really proud of that and looking forward to taking pretty much all the staff. We've got 3 tables going on the 21st of November. You know, we're really proud of you guys for what you've done of putting out good quality magazines and events. So fingers crossed, eh? But gosh, you talk about chairing FSM Live Manchester. It feels like an age ago, and it was only a couple of weeks ago. I've already got my attention turned to FSM Live London, which we're running for the first time on the 3rd of March at Kempton Park. We will be opening registration for that around about the end of November, but I'm just pulling together the agenda now. So yeah, I seem to always have to look forwards rather than look back, Brian. It's honestly evolving, and we've got so many webinars, as you said, and it's worth saying that if you can't keep up to speed with our webinars, just subscribe to Ignite CPD, our streaming service. You can see all of our past webinars ever on demand. I've just uploaded all of the content from Fire Safety Matters Live Manchester, the NAFO conference and the IFSM Technical Conference in Manchester. So if you didn't go, you can now watch those sessions in full and get a personalised CPD certificate. So the Ignite CPD platform, Brian, as you know, because you've done an interview with me in the previous issue, has all of our past webinars, and it will have all of our upcoming webinars on demand. That's the only place you can see them on demand, and all of our conference seminar sessions. So there's over 300 on there now, and we add 150 new each year. So please do go along to the Ignite CPD website to have a look at that. So, you know, as always, you don't have to wait for this podcast to get all the latest fire safety news, prosecutions, products and services and industry analysis. You can go to our website. That is available on fsmatters.com, or just throw into a search engine Fire Safety Matters, out we come. You can see all of our upcoming webinars on there. You can see all of our back issues of Fire Safety Matters on there. You can subscribe to get copies of Fire Safety Matters for free. You can obviously sign up to our weekly newsletter, which 50,000 plus others get weekly on there. So do go to fsmatters.com or follow us on X or follow us on LinkedIn. But as always in this podcast, Brian, we start with the news. And this time I think it's my turn to start with the news. And the news story I've gone with to start off with is about the FPA. Obviously I worked there many moons ago, the Fire Protection Association, and it's launched its 2025 Policy Manifesto. It's quite interesting, this, Brian. So the FPA has launched its Policy Manifesto, highlighting 5 key areas of fire safety to government and industry. Following on from its successful campaign last year, the FPA's 2025 Policy Manifesto calls attention to the work that's still needing in areas such as building remediation, competency and construction products focused regulation. So for decades, the FPA has worked to reduce risk and improve fire safety across the UK in buildings, and also it shares fire safety guidance and information with government, industry, insurers, its members and the wider public. And this 2025 Policy Manifesto, Brian, is designed to help further those aims. And here's the 5 key policies they put into focus. Prosecute those who failed to remediate unsafe buildings. Regulate the ongoing competency of fire risk assessors. Mandate sprinklers or sprinkler protection in schools. Accelerate construction product safety reforms and establish the new regulator. And support the safe transition to net zero. So those are the 5 key aims. You know, we talked about all of those aims at different times on this podcast. Particularly interested in the mandation of sprinkler protections in schools. I think a lot of people find it quite shocking that it isn't mandatory that sprinklers are in school. You just assume that if your children are in school and fire alarm goes, there would be a suppression system. That is not the case, and the FPA are leading the way on that. And obviously, we've talked a lot about remediating unsafe buildings, and I agree with them. You have to prosecute those that don't. We've also talked a lot on here about regulating the ongoing competency of fire risk assessors, something, again, we completely support. So, yeah, it's an interesting manifesto, and I know that I saw with interest that they took a stand at the Labour Party conference, the FPA, to push this manifesto. They took the stand there to, get in front of MPs and members of government that were all attending there to just raise awareness about what they want the government to take on. So I think, Brian, you've got a bit more to add to this, haven't you?
Yes, Mark. Speaking of the launch of the Policy Manifesto, the FPA Chief Executive Dr. Gavin Dunn said, the FPA's objective is to protect people, property and the environment while enabling innovation in the construction and property sectors, all without compromising fire safety. The policy positions we will be actively pursuing are designed to help achieve this core aim. Continuing this theme, Dunn added, the success of this mission relies on collaboration with governments, regulators and industry alike. As such, the FPA stands ready to collaborate with all stakeholders in order to advance pragmatic and achievable policies. Importantly, the 5 initiatives can be implemented using existing powers and will drive the transformative change the FPA considers to be essential. By prioritising fire safety in these ways, the FPA believes that it can protect lives, enhance the economic value of the built environment, and also contribute towards the overall well-being and prosperity of society. In tandem with the organisation's manifesto, Mark, the FPA has also announced its move from Martyn in Marsh to Oxfordshire. All of the detail can be found on our website at fsmatters.com. Back to you, Mark.
Yeah, so obviously the news of them moving from the Fire Service College is interesting. I've known about this for a while because I've got a really good relationship with Gavin over there, and he's done a really good job of really growing and changing that organisation since he has come into post. So, yeah, they're moving, they say, to Banbury, and I live in Banbury, and I would argue maybe it's more Boddercote, but we won't argue on geography. They're definitely moving to Oxfordshire, not a million miles away from their current Cotswold base, but it is another interesting bit of news because more and more organisations are leaving the Fire Service College. So that is one to keep an eye on, I think. So, Brian, what's the second news story you've got for us?
The number of e-bike and e-scooter fires in a single year in London could be the highest yet, Mark. According to the latest figures issued by London Fire Brigade, as of the 28th of September, 165 e-bike and e-scooter fires have been recorded in the capital in 2025, including 134 e-bike fires. This represents an average of around 18 e-bike or e-scooter fires per month. If that trend continues for the rest of the year, London will surpass 200 incidents in a single 12-month period for the very first time. Tragically, one of these fires claimed the life of a 30-year-old woman after a fire broke out at a bedsit on Lordship Lane in Wood Green on the 21st of June. Eden Abera CM was discovered unconscious inside the property and was rescued by firefighters, but sadly died in hospital later that day. Following an investigation by the London Fire Brigade's fire investigation team, it was concluded that the fire was most probably caused by the failure of a charging lithium-ion battery pack for an e-bike. This was the fourth fatal fire involving an e-bike recorded in London, and the first since 2023. In all 4 cases, Mark, the person who died did not own or use the e-bike involved in the fire. There have been several other serious incidents involving e-bike and e-scooter batteries in recent weeks and months, Mark. On Monday, the 22nd of September, a man sustained serious burns from a fire involving lithium-ion batteries for a converted e-bike that was on charge in a flat in Putney High Street. On the 18th of September, a woman sustained serious injuries after jumping from a first-floor window to escape a house fire on Ivory Down in Downham caused by a charging e-bike battery. On the 19th of August, a charging lithium-ion battery pack for a converted e-bike failed and caught fire in the bedroom of a flat on Brockley Road in Lewisham. A woman was rescued and taken to hospital where her condition was initially deemed as life-threatening, but she's now recovering. 2 other people were rescued after they found themselves trapped in bedrooms. On the 19th of June, Mark, firefighters were called to a fire at a block of flats on North Pole Road in North Kensington. 9 people were rescued from the fire, which is believed to have been caused by the failure of a lithium-ion battery pack for a trike-style scooter. The original battery and chargers have been replaced with aftermarket products. What do you have to add on this news, Mark?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, e-bikes are becoming more and more popular. You see them everywhere. I must admit, I have never used one, but you do see them everywhere now. And anything to do with lithium-ion batteries, Brian, is a really current topic. You've chaired sessions at FSM Live in Manchester on them. You have hosted some webinars. We've had some of our highest ever attendances on this topic. There's real concern in the sector about the fire risks posed by lithium-ion batteries. And when we're talking about e-bikes here, just to clarify, these fires often occur when the lithium-ion batteries that power e-bikes and e-scooters fail and explode. So batteries can fail for a number of reasons. It might have been that they haven't been properly built, they're faked, they're damaged, overcharge is often an issue, or the incorrect charger is used. So products such as batteries and chargers and e-bike conversion kits can be bought online from marketplaces, and they're often at a greater risk of malfunctioning. And that's been this real key subject of some of the latest regulation that's in there for high street shops. So, if I talk about the Wood Green fire, there was evidence that workers in the gig economy were living in the property. And although London Fire Brigade attends fires that affect a wide range of people, including families and students, they believe that the gig economy companies in particular should be using their platforms to more than raise awareness among riders about the risks presented by e-bikes. So it really is a growing area of concern, Brian. And I've got a quote here from London Fire Brigade, the Assistant Commissioner there, Paula Parachoka, and they've explained, everything possible must be done to help people understand the risks we know exist and the steps that can be taken to keep themselves and those around them safe. We've been pleased to work with organisations such as London Trading Standards and Deliveroo to share advice directly to e-bikers. These events have demonstrated the danger to which people are exposing themselves to and others when it comes to e-bikes in particular. So London Fire Brigade says it'll be writing to companies like Uber Eats and Just Eats and Deliveroo to ask them to share this important safety advice with their riders. And to be honest, Brian, that is probably where you see most people using e-bikes. It often does seem to be, particularly in London, the surge of, takeaway delivery drivers such as Uber Eats, Deliveroo, etc. So, yeah, it really is a growing area of concern. And we've talked about lithium-ion battery fires before. There's been major incidences where there's, not just been cars that have caught fire, but, car parks too. And when you talk about motorised mobility scooters that have caused fires in residential dwellings where they're stored, it's a real concern for the fire brigade, this. So, it was interesting to see that latest statistics, and obviously, tragic that there was a fatality involved. So, Brian, also, I want to just shift gears a minute and talk about another bit of news that we have. Delighted to announce that the Fire and Security Matters Awards are now open for entries. Gosh, we had over 380 entries last year. It was our biggest awards ever, and it's completely free to enter. And anyone listening to this, please do enter. You've got until the 6th of March 2026 to enter. It is completely free. Now, there's a number of fire and security categories and some joint categories. I'm only, for the sake of ease now, just going to go over the fire categories, because obviously this is a fire safety podcast, not our security matters podcast that you also host. So there's something for everyone here. It's the perfect way to get recognition for yourself, a colleague, your team, your organisation, a product and service, a client. You can nominate yourself, you can nominate others. It's really not complicated to enter. It really doesn't take long to do so, but it means so much to people that do get shortlisted. So please do consider entering. So the fire categories we've got a brand new one, Fire Safety Training Company of the Year. We've got Fire Innovation of the Year, Fire Safety Manufacturer of the Year, Fire Safety Installation Company of the Year, Fire Safety Project of the Year, Fire Safety Manager of the Year, and Fire Safety Team of the Year, and Fire Industry Woman of the Year. All of those are categories that most people listening could enter. And Fire Safety Consultancy of the Year, and that was won by C.S. Todd and Associates last year. The joint categories, we've got ESG Company of the Year, Distributor of the Year, Commercial Person of the Year, Customer Service Award. Now, we've got a couple of new ones in here too, which is Unsung Hero Award and the Rising Star Award. So, yeah, I would strongly urge people to enter this. It's completely free to do so. You have until the 6th of March to enter. You could do so at firesecurityawards.com or just throw into a search engine Fire and Security Matters Awards. We'll announce a shortlist in April, and then the winners are revealed at the biggest party in the sector, the biggest night of celebration. There's nothing quite like it. We had over 800 people this year next year, when these awards will be delivered, it will take place on the 2nd of July 2026 at the Coventry Building Society Arena. There's nothing quite like this night. The number of people, the networking opportunities. It's a real night of celebration, but also a real night of fun. We have Dodgems there, fire breathers there, fun money casino tables there, photo booths. We have fairground stores where you can win cuddly toys. And I'm delighted to announce we've got a brilliant host this year, comedian Catherine Ryan, who will actually be our first ever female host of the FSM Awards. Catherine is very, very well known as a comedian across the UK. She's been on all the major panel shows. She's done sold out comedy tours everywhere. In fact, she's just about to have a baby in a few weeks too, but this will be one of her first things back to work next year. She's been on plenty of things like Canada's Got Talent. She's hosted Roast Battle on Comedy Central with Jimmy Carr, same as Your Face or Mine. So I think if you don't know who Catherine Ryan is, you're probably not that interested in comedy anyway, but she will be a brilliant host for us. And the night is really important, Brian. It's a night of celebration that shines a light on everything that's important and good that everyone listening to this podcast does. But I'm a big believer that this should be fun too. It's a night to network, it's a night to celebrate, but if you're going out, this should be a night where you have a great night. And there is not a better night, in my opinion, than this. For what's there, there's so much to do. A brilliant 3-course meal there, drinks reception too included. We really, really hope you guys will come along. We know that we're going to get a record crowd this year. And honestly, Brian, it's my favourite thing that we do. Awards dues, I absolutely love, because it's a way where our audience, the listeners now, get in touch, and I get the opportunity to then go back to them if they've been shortlisted. Personally, I do that, and just hearing how happy they are to be shortlisted, without doubt, the best part of my job and my favourite date of the year. So this year will be the 2nd of July, 2026. Have you got anything you want to add to that, Brian?
I'd really echo what you said, Mark. I mean, the Fire and Security Masters Awards are always tremendous. It's hugely important that we honour and celebrate best practice and achievement across the two business sectors. And it's fantastic that so many companies support and take part in the awards. I always look forward to it myself, yes.
Yeah, it's a fantastic night. Plenty of work's got to go in between now and then, but I promise you it will be the best one yet, and one that you don't want to miss. So, Brian, we've got a couple of different interviews on this episode of the podcast, and you're spoiling us this episode. Our first interview isn't just one guest, it's 2 guests. Who have you got for us? Our first guests on episode 46 of the Fire Safety Matters podcast are Derrick Hall, Director of Sales and Marketing at Kentec, and his colleague Kevin Mears, who serves as Head of Product Management for the business. Derrick leads on strategic growth initiatives and global partnership programs. Indeed, Derrick's leadership has been central to enhance customer engagement by way of comprehensive training and technical support. Kevin Mears has worked in the fire industry since 1988 and provides high-level technical support for the end users of Kentec's ranges of fire safety systems. On this occasion, Derrick and Kevin focused their attentions on the impact of Martyn's Law in relation to the fire industry. Thank you very much for joining us on the podcast, Derrick. What role can fire safety and other forms of alarm systems play in the application of Martyn's Law?
Thanks, Brian. It's a really good question. And I think that as a manufacturer in the fire alarm system world, we've got to consider how we are used to evacuating people. And obviously with Martyn's Law coming into effect relatively quickly now, we've got to try and understand what the impact of the fire alarm system could have on a potential lockdown. So you think in the traditional sense that fire alarm systems are designed to detect fires and react to incidents and evacuate people to a safe place outside, whereas a lockdown system is doing maybe the opposite, in that we want to invac individuals to a safe place with locked doors. So there's a bit of a compromise with what the fire alarm system is potentially trying to achieve, and it's in conflict with what a lockdown system might be looking to achieve. So another consideration is actually what we see in the fire alarm world anyway, is that I've been only in the industry for 30 years, and I'm not too sure what the difference is between a fire alarm alert tone and a fire alarm evac tone, because it can change from building to building. And it really comes down to what the commission engineer has chosen for that particular tone. So just imagine we introduce another tone, a third tone, which could be a sweeping tone. Now, I don't know if that means I have to evacuate the building, or do I enter into a safe room inside the building? So if I'm confused, then I think that maybe the fire alarm system wouldn't be the best system to be used for locking down a school or a library or a public building of some type.
And following on from that, what function will be played by communication systems when it comes to addressing the new legislation?
Well, we can take a lot of learnings from other countries around the world, and where there's been quite a lot of incidents is in schools and campuses in America. They have systems which are dedicated for mass notification. They're specifically in place to try and help and control a particular terrorist or a mass shooting event. Now, this is a multiple layered approach, which is live spoken voices or recorded spoken voices, displays and screens, and general information that can be used throughout the building. And I think it's a really important way of looking at each individual type of application to come up with the best solution. And that's pretty much where this Martyn's law is coming from, is the individual occupiers and owners of the buildings have got to come up with a risk assessment to decide what is best for their particular needs. Now, if you think that in a world of integrated systems with security, access control, intruder, CCTV and fire, this may well be easily achieved, but that would be at the top end of the scale. So we've got to consider that Martyn's law has two tiers, and the standard tier actually means that buildings which would never have had any form of communication system, if you've got any more than 200 occupants in the building, up to I think 799, you've got to consider how you can communicate effectively to them. And I think that these huge numbers of buildings are going to have a little bit of a challenge in how do they address that, because you've got to think about how you can get clear messages to individuals to let them know that there is an incident going on.
Welcome to the podcast, Kevin. How does the design, specification and use of suitable systems differ according to the nature of the incident that merits an alarm?
Well, as Daryl's alluded to there's no sort of single or simple answer to this. It would depend very much on the premises and the type of use of the premises, the size of it, and the risks associated with that particular premises. So I think, as Martyn's law sort of sets out, the real key here is doing a proper risk assessment to start off with and see what that particular building is used for and the risks associated with that building. From there, the next step would be to then look at systems to mitigate those risks. I think understanding what the incidents could be is a good part of this. And you'd have to look and say, well, what would be the risks that are associated with this particular building? So if there's a terrorist incident, what type of things could happen? It could be firearms. It could be vehicles being used as a weapon, potentially, explosion. Depending on that type of risk, you then have to decide what you want to do with that. So whilst the common thing to do would be to lock down, in some situations that might not be suitable. I mean, for example, a chemical incident, you might want to actually evacuate a building. Explosion, you might want to evacuate a building. So you have to really design the system based upon the risks, and it could be different depending on what the causes are.
What impact do you believe Martyn's law realises when it comes to product development?
Communications is key. As Derrick has mentioned there, the thing that's important is being able to communicate to the occupants of the building, the staff, and also the public in that building, or the actual threat, and also the best action to take for that particular threat. So I can see that there's going to be more development of communications. Now, using fire systems, as Derrick has mentioned, using fire systems, they're traditionally designed for evacuation. Evacuation is the highest priority. With this, actually, evacuation might be a higher priority, or lockdown, or hiding away from the threat. So if we're going to use a fire system for it, firstly, it has to be clear in its communication to the occupants. And secondly, it has to have higher levels of priority, higher than fire, potentially. So that's one approach from the fire side of things. The other approach is, using other systems, like Derrick's mentioned, mass notification systems. But I think it's how can you deploy such systems easily in a building. We've got a fairly short timeline here to actually get products into the buildings to do this. Larger systems, the enhanced tier systems, as Derrick's mentioned, PAVA type systems, voice systems are going to be absolutely suitable. But it's trying to find a quick and easy solution for these standard tier systems, which is easy to deploy in the time that we've got.
What kind of detail do you expect to see in the government's much anticipated statutory guidance?
Thanks, Brian. Yeah. And again, there's a lot of good information already released by the government. And it's basically guidelines about how you go about your risk assessment. It doesn't actually come up with a particular answer. And I think that will lead to some really good product development ideas of how to overcome the problem. And as we said earlier, with the enhanced tier, many of these buildings will already have PAVA systems in place as part of their fire requirements. So it's an easy adaptation, but it's the standard tier premises that I think are going to have the most difficulty in working out what could be a cost-effective solution for them. Even the FIA are coming up with guidance notes already. And as I said, there's a bit of contradiction about what the fire alarm system is actually trying to achieve compared to what a lockdown or INVAC system is looking to achieve. So I think that there'll be quite a bit of development on potentially a new British standard on what becomes a priority if you're going to use the fire system. So be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see how it's legislated and also policed.
Leading on from Derrick's answer there, we have had a sort of similar scenario to some degree with high-rise buildings and evacuation systems from there, whereby a law has been set, there's been guidance documents, but it's also been a British standard. So I think that's something that, maybe will happen over time. Unfortunately, these things do take time to develop, but it'd be good to have some guidance.
To what extent do you feel the industry is prepared ahead of Martyn's law coming into force, which is scheduled for April 2027?
Yeah, I think that the industry as a whole is looking at this and asking some questions about how it can be easily achieved. Certainly our customers, who are mainly system integrators, are starting to gain awareness of it, but it's now looking to technology and manufacturing companies like ourselves to come up with a workable solution which could be cost effective and also easily or quickly installed without having a huge cost of maybe a PAVA system. So I think that it'll get onto us very quickly. 2027 is not far away, really. But it seems to me as if maybe the government and our industry could do a little bit more in publicising this and making people aware, especially end users.
Well, back to the news now, Brian, and this is both a mixture of industry news and news related to FSM. I'm absolutely delighted that just yesterday, as we're recording this, we managed, as Fire Safety Matters, or as my company, Western Business Media, to acquire the Women in Fire Safety Awards, and that now becomes part of Fire Safety Matters' portfolio. Absolutely delighted to be working on this for a long time. Huge thank you to Chloe and Kate, who founded these awards in 2021, and I'm delighted they will be staying with us as non-executive directors of the awards. It's a very different feel, the Women in Fire Safety Awards, and anything I've been to. I attended it in September this year. It was a fantastic night. 400 people attended, and just such a lovely atmosphere there, Brian. It's different than other awards dues. The acceptance speeches that they do there are probably the highlights of the entire thing. Just listening, they're very short, the speeches, but you can see how much these awards mean to people. But also, they talk about the difficulties they have faced in the sector. Now, bringing these awards into Western Business Media, or more importantly, into a Fire Safety Matters portfolio, is part of a much bigger plan for us, as you are well aware. We want those awards, which will take place in November 2026, and we'll be opening entries, in about April sort of time for that. We want that awards to be the culmination of a year-long campaign through Fire Safety Matters to shine a light on the achievements of women and with the aim of further increasing diversity across the sector. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to start at the start of next year having a column in each issue of FSM and columns online and on this podcast as well, interviews guests from, women across the sector, from whatever job roles, whether they're in marketing, sales, R&D, fire safety managers, installers, consultants, risk assessors, insurers, whoever's working in the fire sector. We want to hear about how they got there, the challenges their organisation face, and then we will talk about, obviously, the challenges they face to bring more women into the sector, and it's something that we all want to see. Here at our company, it's how it should be. We literally, I think we've got more women working for us than men, and that isn't on purpose. It's by whoever the best candidate for the job is, and diversity is really, really important to us. But FSM is perfectly placed to lead this campaign and to take these awards on to a bigger level than they have ever been in before, and because the huge audience that we've got behind us, just weekly our newsletter goes to 50,000 people, this, and we've got great number of listeners to the podcast, social media, readers to the website, attendees to our events. We'll also be, adding this to the agenda of a couple of the Fire Safety Matters events next year, the FSM Lives. We'll also be doing 2 in-person meetups for women in fire safety. One will be in Havant at a time next year at Apollo Fire Detectors office, and we'll do another one. We're going to set up a steering committee, Brian, and again, if you're interested in being part of the steering committee, just reach out to us. Just email marketing@westernbusiness.media, or just go to the FSM website and email any of us from there. If you're a lady who'd like to be involved in this, we're looking for a steering committee. They can help drive this campaign and help drive the focus areas for this group. This is going to be an event, a campaign for women, by women. We're delighted that Kate and Chloe will be a key part of that. Leanne, our commercial head, will be part of that. You've also got Esty, our marketeer, will be part of that when she's back from maternity in January. So it's really important to us that, we hear the issues and challenges faced by women in the sector, and we try and raise awareness on that and try and encourage more diversity in the sector. So I'm really, really proud to add this to our portfolio, really excited by it too. And just to stress again, it's not just going to be an awards do, which it currently is. That will be a night of celebration that will culminate what will have been a year campaign, and it'll be ongoing. And there's a lot of love and affinity for those awards, and I'm absolutely delighted that that's now something that we can run and grow. And obviously, Brian, you'll be key in helping give the editorial space, whether it's online, in the magazine, on this podcast. We'll do interviews as well and be at the awards. So yeah, really excited about this. It's a lot of hard work's gone into getting it over the line. So delighted to finally be able to share it with you. And Brian, you've got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to working on the Women in Fire Safety Awards, Mark. In terms of editorial, we'll be able to create new content with the focus that's really going to add to the magazine's breadth of coverage in print, online, and of course in the live scenario in terms of our conference programme. So it's great news all round, really.
Yeah, and we'll do, next year, even more in-depth articles at times as well, particularly in the FSM guide. Not in this year's one, because we've already got all the content going to press that over the next few weeks, but the following one, it'll be a key focus for us. And, I'm really grateful to Apollo Fire Detectors, who've already signed on to agree to be the headline sponsor of the awards. I can't thank them enough. Kate Clark, who's the managing director, actually added a quote in our press release where she said, "Apollo is proud to support the Women in Fire Safety Awards, which shine a light on the exceptional talent driving our industry forward. Championing diversity and celebrating achievements are vital to the future of fire safety. We're excited to help inspire the next generation of women in the sector." So, huge thank you to them and to the other sponsors that have already signed up. if you are interested in becoming a sponsor of the awards, just drop me an email through the website, or Leanne Velez, our head of commercial at Fire Safety Matters. Just go to fsmatters.com. All of our contact details are on the website. You can find us on LinkedIn. We are not hard to find, that is for sure. So, Brian, moving on from that, we've got one more news story, and you've got one for us from ASFP, I believe. What have you got?
I do indeed, Mark. The Association for Specialist Fire Protection has launched a new mental health pack, purpose designed to raise awareness of mental health issues, reduce stigma, and provide practical support for professionals working in the passive fire protection sector. The ASFP's new pack provides strategies to support well-being and, importantly, encourages businesses to view mental health as a core element of workplace culture. The initiative comes at a critical time, Mark. Across the wider construction industry, mental health remains a pressing concern. One of the key aims of the ASFP's resource is to foster open and stigma-free environments. In 2019, just 33% of construction workers felt comfortable discussing mental health issues with their colleagues. By 2022, though, this figure had risen to 53%. The ASFP hopes its new guidance will continue to build on this momentum. The pack outlines practical measures that employers in the passive fire protection sector can take, including ensuring proper rest facilities, offering employee assistance programs, and also providing access to trained mental health first aiders. It also recommends embedding mental health into toolbox talks, inductions and risk assessments, such that the subject is treated with the same priority as physical safety. What's your take on this one, Mark?
Well, I talk about this area quite a bit on the other podcast that I host, the Health and Safety Matters podcast, which is a sister podcast to this. We talk about it a lot, and we take it just as seriously within our own business, Brian. We have specialist support for staff if they need it, from a proper HR consultancy business that gives them access confidentially to someone to speak to should they need to. We brought this in actually in the wake of COVID more than anything else, because people were so isolated, Brian, that they couldn't come into the office. Not that many people do come into our office now. Pretty much all our staff are remote workers, but even more reason to. And people are isolated on their own, and it's key that you keep in contact with them. Loneliness is a problem. Also a problem with working from home and not being able to communicate as easily as someone in the office is just. You don't want to have a breakdown in communication. That's why we're very active in using Teams and talking to our staff. You and I, for example, talk all the time, as we should do. It would be easier if we were together in the office, but you live in Scotland, I live in Oxfordshire, and the office is down by Gatwick, so we couldn't be further away. I think the only time that we tend to be together is when we go to Spain to do a bit of work and at events. But this is, a particular area that we take seriously, and I talk about a lot on the HSM podcast. It's not an area that we've spoken about in the fire safety sector or on this podcast, and it's nice to see ASFP leading the way on this, because really you tend to see it more as health and safety organisations leading the way on this. No one in the fire sector really is openly promoting it in the same way that ASFP is. So I've got a bit more information on this, and there's a quote I'll start off with from Adam Shipstone, who's the head of training at ASFP, and he's a qualified mental health first aider, and he said, "Only collectively can we do something to combat this issue and make people realise that it's okay to not be okay. I'm so happy to see more and more businesses recognising the need to support mental well-being in the workplace, and I'm even happy to see ASFP going further in supporting its members." So just going back to this, the pack signposts key organisations such as Mates in Mind, the Lighthouse Club and the Building Mental Health Club, while providing training, helplines and resources specifically tailored to the construction sector workers. So, Mates at Mind, the Lighthouse Club, these are all people that we're used to working with over on HSM. So by launching this mental health pack, the ASFP is sending a clear message that the well-being of those individuals working in the passive fire protection sector must be protected as carefully as their physical safety. Only by tackling this stigma, providing resources and committing to cultural change can the industry ensure a healthier and more sustainable future for its workforce. That was a quote there from ASFP. So yeah, as I said, it's great to see ASFP really take the lead on this one in there, and I'd encourage people to go onto our website and have a look at this news story. Go onto the ASFP website as well, and as I've said, you don't need to wait for this podcast to get all the news like this. You can go to our website anytime, news.Subjects.com, and you can go on there for the latest news, prosecutions, products and services. See all of our upcoming issues and past issues of the magazine and sign up to get them for free. You can sign up to get our weekly newsletter for free. You can see our upcoming webinars on there as well. But as I said earlier, if you want to see all of our webinars on demand, or you want to see all of the recent seminar sessions from FSM Live Manchester, the National Association of Healthcare Fire Officers Conference in Manchester, or the Institute of Fire Safety Managers Conference in Manchester, go to our streaming platform, ignitecpd.com. You can sign up. There's over 300 sessions on there. I add 150 a year to it. It's fully searchable for both health and safety and fire safety webinars. It gives you a personalised CPD for every webinar that you watch. You get a certificate saved straight for you, and you can download them at your own leisure. So if CPD is important to you, or just education, or if you're just sick and tired of signing up to every webinar that we do and you want it all in one place that you can watch on demand, ignitecpd.com is the answer for you. So at this point, Brian, I will throw back over to you and ask you, who is the final guest you've got for us on this episode of the Fire Safety Matters podcast?
Our final guest on episode 46 of the Fire Safety Matters podcast is Spike Armstrong, Business Development Manager at Thermocable, the manufacturer of linear detection cable and monitoring systems. Graduating from the University of York with a BA Honours degree in Philosophy, Politics and Economics, followed by a Master's in Public Administration and Public Policy, Spike joined Halma plc in 2023, taking on the role of Associate Product Manager for the Static Systems Group. Spike began his time at Thermocable in October last year, first becoming Sales Manager before assuming his current role in June this year. Spike now presides over a broad project brief covering revenue generation through existing and new customers. During our interview, Spike concentrates on linear heat detection systems with a very keen focus on the deployment in relation to solar panel arrays. Thank you for joining us on the podcast, Spike. Can you tell us about Thermocable in terms of the company's history, its mission, and also what makes the business unique in the fire detection industry?
Thank you very much for having me on the podcast, Brian. Sure. Founded in 1963 as a manufacturer of heating cables for the refrigeration and electric blankets markets, Thermocable has continued to innovate and develop, becoming the world-leading manufacturer of linear heat detection cable and monitoring systems. This transformation has been driven by a boundless desire to problem solve, as well as our fundamental company values, enabling us to supply a multidisciplinary customer base on a global scale. Recognizing our commitment to making the world a safer place, Thermocable was acquired by renowned FTSE 100 plc, Halma, in February 2023. As a global group of life-saving technology companies, Halma companies strive to build a safer, cleaner, healthier future for everyone, every day.
What are linear heat detection systems, and how do they differ from traditional fire detection technologies?
Sure, great question. So linear heat detection systems are fire detection technologies that use heat-sensitive cables to identify rising temperatures along their entire length. Unlike point detectors, which monitor specific spots, linear heat detection systems continuously monitor entire areas, making them ideal for large or complex environments like solar PV installations. When a section of the cable reaches a preset temperature, it triggers an alarm, allowing for fast and early response. These systems are weatherproof, low maintenance, and can be installed flexibly across rooftops, making them especially effective for detecting early stage fires in a variety of different applications, including solar arrays, but critically, before smoke or flames are visible.
What led Thermocable to explore the use of linear heat detection for solar panel arrays?
I think that's a really interesting one, and there are a variety of different reasons. As solar PV systems became more widespread, with global capacity reaching 2.25 terawatts in 2024 and expected to lead renewable energy by 2029, fire safety is becoming a growing concern, a more frequent topic being covered in insurance documentation, and we're seeing more customers actively seeking fire detection solutions tailored to the solar space. Studies estimate that around 29 fires per gigawatt of installed capacity occur annually, meaning potentially tens of thousands of PV fires worldwide each year. There have been cases of significant losses from PV-related fires recently, a storage warehouse in Romania, 2 schools in Germany, and a distribution centre in the UK, and more recently, a further 2 school situations in the UK. Many rooftop fires currently go unnoticed until they're dangerously large, multi-panel fires, often spotted only by passers-by. That's really why we're exploring how linear heat detection can offer early and rapid warning of overheat and fire detection in these applications.
Thermocable has recently carried out some research on the subject of solar panel arrays. Could you outline the key findings for us?
Absolutely. So this research shows that linear heat detection systems are a highly effective solution for early fire detection in rooftop solar PV installations. As the research institute that we partnered with noted, the results have significant implications for fire safety in the fast-growing solar energy sector. With PV systems expanding across residential and commercial buildings, fire risks from electrical arcing to hotspots require proactive detection strategies. Linear heat detection systems consistently triggered alarms well before visible smoke and flames appeared, with detection times ranging from just over 10 seconds to just under 9 minutes, depending on system placement. This early warning capability enables faster intervention, reduced damage, and improved safety outcomes. Combined with their waterproof design, low maintenance, and adaptability to complex roof layouts, in summary, linear heat detection systems offer a scalable and proven solution. As fire safety in solar becomes a growing focus in insurance discussions and customers' demand for PV-specific detection rises, this research confirms linear heat detection's value in protecting solar infrastructure. For more information, we've recently published the test report, which can be accessed through the Thermocable website or through our LinkedIn page.
Can you explain what makes Thermocable's linear heat detection systems particularly well suited for solar panel array applications?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and it really strikes to the heart of the value of linear heat detection as, I suppose, a specialist form of fire detection and something different to your conventionals. Thermocable's linear heat detection systems are exceptionally well suited for solar panel arrays because they combine robustness, reliability, and scalability with a fit and forget design. They're built to perform in a wide range of harsh environmental conditions, including extreme heat, freezing cold, high winds, heavy rain, and snow, making them ideal for exposed rooftop installations. They provide mass coverage across large or complex installations and can be easily integrated into existing building fire management systems, helping to protect assets and ensure compliance with evolving safety standards.
And finally, Spike, how do you see this innovation impacting the solar industry and fire safety standards in general going forward?
I think this innovation directly addresses a growing concern shared by key stakeholders, installers, insurers, and end customers alike. As solar adoption accelerates, so does risks associated with rooftop fires. Linear heat detection system offers a proven, scalable solution that enables early fire detection even before smoke or flames are visible. By helping prevent serious incidents, linear heat detection can support safer solar deployment and influence future fire safety standards. It's a real step towards sustainable, secure green growth, and we're already seeing increased demand from end customers and more frequent conversations in the insurance space around integrating this technology.
That brings us to the end of episode 46 of the Fire Safety Matters podcast. Many thanks indeed to our special guests on this edition, namely Derrick Hall and Kevin Mears from Kentec and Spike Armstrong from Thermocable. You can read more on the issues raised in this edition of the podcast and others by visiting the Fire Safety Matters website. The web address you need to access is www.fsmatters.com. We do hope you've enjoyed the content delivered in the podcast and found it informative. Please do contact us if there are any particular themes or issues you would like us to explore on upcoming editions. You can do so on X, formerly Twitter of course, by using the hashtag FSMPodcast. On that note, do make sure you follow us on X at FSMatters_MAG and also access our LinkedIn page at Fire Safety Matters. Please do like and share the content of our regular podcasts and spread the word among your industry colleagues. You can listen to the Fire Safety Matters podcast for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube or Podbean. All you need to do is enter the term Fire Safety Matters into your chosen platform search box. We'll see you next time.